Here is the modern Mardu control deck. It's just popped up recently. Has been doing well in the recent opens. It's been doing well in the mocks. I've been seeing it doing well online in various places. This is basically one of the viable control decks in modern. There aren't that many viable control decks at the moment. This one doesn't play any counter spells, of course, because it's not playing blue. So it's not a traditional control deck in that sense. But it's got some disruption, some burns, some removal, some planeswalkers. The mana base is pretty straightforward. We're playing 4 copies of Shambling Vents, and actually there's also 1 Needle Spires as well. So we've got our man lands. We're not playing that many actual creatures in our deck, so we want some value lands, some cards that can pressure our opponent, and the Shambling Vent is a way to gain life, so that's also pretty important there. We've got a variety of fetch lands, Blackcleave Cliffs, as you'll see, similar to Jund. Blackcleave Cliffs is really important in Jund. This deck is pretty similar to Jund, actually, so we like that land a lot. And then there's also 2 Ghost Quarters and 1 Tectonic Edge. So there's a reason for these. There's a lot of non-basic lands in Modern, first of all. So you'll see creature lands, and you'll see Tron, and you'll see all sorts of weird and wacky decks with non-basic lands and lands we want to blow up. And you'll see the 1 copy of Crucible of Worlds, which works great with Ghost Quarter and Tectonic Edge, because you can just rebuy the lands and create kind of a hard lock on the game. And Crucible is also good with fetch lands. You can just reuse your fetch lands. So, pretty happy with the 1 Crucible in the main deck. There's 6 discard spells here, 4 Inquisition of Kozilek, and then 2 Thoughtseize, similar to a Jund style deck, what you would see. 4 Lightning Bolt, best removal spell in Modern, and 2 Path to Exile, the other best removal spell in Modern. So this deck plays all the best removal. 3 Terminates as well. So we're basically able to kill anything we want to. Dreadbore is a way to also have an answer to Planeswalkers. And then we get to an actual 2-drop creature. We're not playing too many creatures, but Wall of Omens, it's a nice card to have on 2 if you don't have anything else to do. It cantrips in worst case scenario, and it blocks. There's a lot of Wild Nacatls and stuff of that nature running around the format right now. So this card is great in those sorts of matchups. We've got 2 copies of Anger of the Gods. Anger is not only good against the small creature decks, it's good against some of the bigger creature decks, but it's also great against Dredge, being able to exile other prized amalgams and stuff like that. And Dredge is a pretty tough matchup, so having a main deck way to Mize that matchup is pretty nice. We've got 4 Liliana of the Veil, so since we're playing a lot of cantrips, a lot of discard spells, we actually have a bunch of cards in our deck that are not that great draws later in the game. Liliana of the Veil is a great way to just throw them in the graveyard, and so is Nahiri, which we'll get to in a minute. Lingering Souls is great when you just discard it. It's also great when you cast it. So, just one of the best grindy cards in Modern. Lingering Souls, creating 4/1/1 flyers is really good, as it turns out, for such a cheap mana cost, and you can rebuy it from the graveyard. Nahiri is a 4-mana Planeswalker, which was just recently printed. We've seen it in Jeskai control. This is, of course, Mardu control. It's a little bit different. We've still got the Emrakul package, so that we just go ++. Now we're on 8 loyalty. We can -8, get Emrakul, and the game's basically over once you have Emrakul in play via Nahiri Ultimate. And Nahiri can get rid of enchantments, artifacts, and just cycle through our deck. We're basically cycling through our deck, hoping to get a Planeswalker on the board, and then optimally we can protect our Planeswalkers and then ultimate a Planeswalker. And once you ultimate a Planeswalker, the game should be essentially over. So that's the main deck plan. The sideboard, we've got, as I said, the graveyard decks are a little bit of a tough matchups. And we've got 3 Relica Progenitus for those. 1 Thoughtseize against basically any sort of combo deck or deck trying to string multiple cards together. Or even big mana decks like Bant Eldrazi, Elboard, and Thoughtseize. 2 more Ghost Quarters against, like I was saying before, we've got 1 Crucible of Worlds. So we've got 2 Ghost Quarters and another Crucible in the boards. That's like our best package against Tron, against the Valakut decks, against any of those decks really relying on the non-basic lands. We've got some Artifact Hate here for Affinity. 2 Stony Silence. The Wear Tear is a versatile removal spell for, could be for Affinity, could be for other matchups. Go for the Throat is another really sweet removal spell. It also kills cards like Master of Waves, so we got to think about that one. We can't main deck it because we don't want to be main decking a removal spell that can't kill any artifacts, just because Affinity is a popular deck, a relevant player in this format. And so yeah, I just moved over these Memoricides that were hiding out a little bit, and these are basically our Cranial Extraction, our combo killer, if you will. Just being able to name any card and be able to strip that out of our opponent's deck. A lot of times that's just good enough to win the game all by itself in the matchups we're going to be boarding them in against. The Painful Truce comes in any grindy matchup, but also against combo. It comes in a lot of random situations. You just want a card draw spell and you're not too worried about your life total. Another Anger, and that's pretty much it. So the sideboard is geared towards the decks which we know are popular in linear, like we know Affinity is very good, we know Dredge is good, those types of popular decks that we want to have sideboard cards for. And then also in any sort of weird combo deck or other sorts of Jund and mid-range style decks. So pretty happy with the deck so far, and I'm eager to play with it some more.